The Vietnam War cast a long shadow over our early years of marriage. Even in our small apartment in the East Bay, where newlywed joy tried to bloom, the war crept in like a cold draft under the door. The television blared footage of helicopters, jungle firefights, and the faces of soldiers who looked too young to be holding rifles. At night, Leslie would mute the volume, but we still watched. We couldn't look away. He had just missed the draft by 1 year, by sheer accident of birth. We didn't take that fact for granted. Many of our friends weren't as lucky. One of them, Tommy, from our dorm floor back at Berkeley, didn't come home. He had played guitar at campus protests and used to borrow Leslie's jacket when the library got cold. When the letter arrived, he didn't run. We wrote to him once. The reply came 3 weeks later. After that, nothing. When word came that he'd been killed in action, it felt like the ground had shifted slightly under us, just enough to make standing still uncomfortable. We mourned in quiet ways. I stopped by the library and found one of his favorite books, a copy of Siddhartha, and left it on the bench where he used to sit. Leslie stayed up late that night, drawing in silence. Neither of us said his name out loud, but he stayed in the room with us. The grief etched itself into our generation. It softened us and hardened us at once. It made every small joy feel sacred, every future we still had more urgent. By 1973, I had learned how to hold both fear and hope in the same hand. That was the year we welcomed our first child, our daughter, Lydia. She was born on a rainy February afternoon. The sky outside was heavy and gray, but the moment I held her, everything brightened from the inside. She was warm, pink-cheeked, and quiet in a way that felt wise. I whispered lullabies to her in both English and Cantonese, sometimes within the same breath. I wanted her to feel both languages before she even knew what they meant. As I held her for the first time, Nixon was visiting China, an event that made headlines in both the San Francisco Chronicle and the Tsingtao Daily. My two worlds, which had often felt distant or at odds, were finally, if symbolically, shaking hands. It felt poetic. It felt like permission. Permission to believe that maybe my daughter wouldn't have to choose which parts of herself to mute. And yet, being a mother in 1973 meant raising a daughter in a world that was changing, messily, chaotically, and not always kindly. That same year, the Supreme Court passed Roe versus Wade. I didn't understand all the legal intricacies, but I understood the gravity of it. For the first time, women had a legal right to make choices about their own bodies. The word choice echoed through every magazine, every conversation between women in laundromats and grocery store lines. It wasn't just about pregnancy, it was about agency. And I was learning, in real time, what it meant to raise a daughter in a country still unsure of what it believed about women. The headlines screamed progress, but the undercurrents were complicated. I felt it in the way strangers spoke to me when I returned to work part-time, how they asked, "But who's watching the baby?" as though my dreams had to come at the cost of hers. Still, I pushed forward. I was 29 when the decade ended. The war was winding down. Our daughter had taken her first steps. Leslie had started his first full-time position with the city's planning department. I was learning to balance motherhood with work, to prepare porridge in the morning and lead team meetings by afternoon. I no longer felt like I was splitting in two. I was weaving together a life that could hold it all. A mother, a wife, a daughter of immigrants, a citizen of a changing world. The world was spinning faster than ever, but for the first time, I felt like I could spin with it and not fall off.